Banjothon 2013. My good friend John Wheat from Terre Haute, Indiana, came down with me to Banjothon, and he has overloaded on flathead banjos. I'm going to have John tell a little bit about himself and how he got started playing the banjo, and then he is going to put an original 5-string RB75. Serial number is on the back of the peghead, John, and it is
E4370-1.
This is owned by Dr. Joey Evans. John, tell us a little bit about how you got started.
Digging through Dad's old albums back in 1982, found the Foggy Mountain Banjo album by Flatt and Scruggs, and led me to a life of crime and poverty. Some of our family friends played tenor but knew how to tune a 5-string. Dad traded 50 bales of hay for a plastic pot harmony with a skin head, and it's been all downhill since then, actually.
John's very modest, but he now is finishing up and is ready to go into residency. His degree from IU Medical School, and he may not be the youngest student, but he most certainly is one of the absolutely most dedicated students. And John and I have known each other since, gosh, you were probably 15, 16 years old by you coming to Bean Blossom. And as you evolved, tell everyone quickly the story as you graduated from high school and how you ended up in Japan.
Yes, our good friend C.W. Mundy, good banjo player and one of the world's leading impressionist artists now. He actually had a friend in California named Pat Cloud, and Pat was trying to put together a band for Tokyo Disneyland. And one of the requirements to be in the band was that they didn't want to hire someone who was married and be responsible for loss of marriage or what have you. So I wasn't obviously married at the time, and graduated from high school midterm, and went to Debbie Reynolds Studios in Hollywood and auditioned for the gig. I was hired as a mandolin player. When Pat called, he said, "Do you play the mandolin?" And I said, "Yeah, I play the mandolin." So I had to run out and buy a mandolin and learn chords and scales, which I did, sort of. And auditioned, we got the job, ended up in Tokyo Disneyland, playing with Pat, myself, John Smaltz, and a guy named Ron Reed, really a good bass player and singer. And that was the beginning of...
Right. Now, as you had come back then, tell us a little bit about some of the different groups that you played with over the following 10, 12, 15 years.
Okay, the last band I recorded with and worked some road with was Mark Newton. Recorded the Hillbilly Hemingway album with Clay Hess and Andy Ball and Beth Lawrence and myself. And then Clay and myself had a band, several different bands off and on for a few years with different players, but basically that same band, we added Mark is what happened. Before that, I'd done a lot of session work, played a lot of utility positions out of the Union in Nashville, played electric and acoustic guitars, a lot of tele work, mandolin. Played mandolin with Greg Cahill and Special Consensus with those guys, some of the nicest guys in the world. On back.
Now, when you graduated from high school,
yes,
your father
yes,
and yourself acquired in the Jim Mills book what is called the last RB75.
Yes, sir.
And you and your father acquired that as you graduated from high school, and you bought it from George Gruen?
I did.
Right.
But actually bought it from George in it was late '86 or early '87, and then had the instrument through the '90s.
Right.
And then it's moved on to its current home.
And we were hopeful to see it this weekend.
Yes.
But we believe that Daryl McCumbers owns that.
Yes, sir.
Banjo. But what we have this evening
is every other similar banjo.
And this banjo that Joey Evans has purchased is very similar because it has no volute, it's straight grain maple.
It is, yes.
Yeah, and it's got all of the similar characteristics to what John played for several years.
Yes.
But evidently Daryl now has that banjo
Yes.
that we're referring to, unfortunately didn't make it. Well, we got the next best thing here.
Yes, we do.
So, if you would, why don't you play a couple of songs, okay? Your choice.
Sure.
And kind of demonstrate some of the strength of tone that this banjo has. That's a good place to start.
Thank you, ladies.
Yeah.
Banjo that sounds like this, you really don't have to do much.
Delivers when you play it quick,
Yes.
play it fast.
Very, very, very quick response time on the instrument.
Right.
And it's got a real nice after finish on those notes. And the D is what one would expect.
Right.
Sounds phenomenal.
Have to happen with a pre-war banjo to get the maximum effect. First of all, the banjo has to be right, and the picker has to understand how to draw tone. And that right there is a classic case of both coming together.
I'd say you're half right,
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm 100% right. Thank you, John.
Thank you.